Thanks for the introduction, Sudeep. So obviously we're going to move on to the next session now, where we'll be exploring the topic of securing the future of work. So if we set the context, hybrid working is now the norm, with the pandemic forcing organizations to move to a work from anywhere operating model. With that change, organizations have naturally become more digital in nature as a result of adapting their business models during this rapid time of change. The threat environment has also escalated during this time, with adversaries employing automation to discover externally facing systems. We're seeing password and user databases leveraged at scale from data breaches for credential harvesting, stuffing, and privilege escalation. The significant rise in the number of critical exploitable vulnerabilities is also making its way through the system, as well as supply chain attacks. And on top of that, we have seen ransomware deployed globally. Organizations all over the world have had to adapt their cyber programs to incorporate zero trust principles and a zero trust architecture to both combat the threat environment, but also to enable their businesses during this significant period of change. Today in the discussion, I have the pleasure of being joined by Paul John C., Head of IT Infrastructure and Operations from BDO Unibank, and Mihir Thankar, Chief Information Security Officer from All Cargo Logistics. They are both leaders who have successfully embraced the concept of zero trust for their organizations, and who will be sharing their story and approach of how they secured and enabled zero trust for their through their businesses through using a zero trust architecture. So maybe if we start with you, Paul, and open up a little bit with an introduction to your role, your experience, and talk a little bit about your business and how a zero trust architecture formed part of your technology strategy. I think you might be on mute, Paul. And
yeah, no, you just unmuted me. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for that question. No, I think quick introduction. My name is Paul. I look after infrastructure and operations here in BDO Unibank, the largest bank here in the Philippines. I lead a team of about 800 people, looking after all of the infrastructure and operations for the bank. I think cybersecurity has always been one of the key tenets of any bank, any financial institution. And I think with the what our previous panelists have discussed, there is now a lot of focus with regards to cybersecurity and zero trust, and how do we make sure that we protect not only the bank's assets, but also the identity and access of our users, and making sure that they are protected from an overall perspective.
Okay, Mihir, maybe if you could also provide some insight about your organization, and how did you tackle, I guess, the zero trust piece from a cybersecurity perspective?
Sure. Thank you for having me in this session today. My name is Mihir Thakur, and I am a Chief Information Security Officer for All Cargo Group of companies. All Cargo Group constitutes of a few businesses in the logistics and supply chain vertical. Of that, EQ Worldwide, we call it as ECU Worldwide, that's the company name. We are the global footprint for the logistics business, where we are a market leader in the less than container load line of business. We operate more than 24,000 trade lanes, servicing 180 plus countries, like with presence across 300 offices globally. And in India, also we have a fairly wide outreach in terms of our services extending to more than 20,000 pin codes across the country. So being in the logistics and supply chain space for us, cybersecurity had been a catch-up game. I got into this role last year after a incident that we faced in one of a ransomware incident we faced in one of our business units, and that's where the management got committed to this entire context of cybersecurity and adopting the gold standard. So that's how my unit got formed. We started ground up as far as this journey is concerned, right from putting all the frameworks, etc., in order, and then take steps towards the approach of how I call it as trust but verify. And of course linked with the zero trust context. So that's a brief about me and my company and the journey so far.
Thanks a lot, Mihir. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that, when we think about zero trust, there's always going to be a starting point. It's definitely become, I guess, larger in the context of being a business-led problem as well, in terms of how we support the business and how we achieve business objectives through the utilization of cybersecurity and risk reduction. So I guess on that note, just in terms of, I guess, Paul, the business case for zero trust, how did you go about communicating the need and outcomes with your executive team? And how did you align that, I guess, to the overall business strategy as, we make IT and cybersecurity and zero trust a business objective?
As part of the digitalization that the bank went through, I think a key part of that is really moving more towards SaaS applications, right? Applications that are sitting on the cloud, applications that are no longer sitting on-prem. And I think as part of that journey, there's a big push to really, as we open up our connectivity out into the market, there is a push to make sure that the connections are secure. And that's part of the zero trust strategy. That was part of we bundled it as part of the digitalization initiatives to make sure that, whatever initiative that we're putting in place, we are also putting the right framework for security and the right framework for making sure that we trust the people or the access that we're giving to those applications, especially if they're sitting in a cloud provider or sitting with a SaaS provider. So I think zero trust is key for those sort of applications where you need to make sure that, you can no longer really verify access to those applications, not only from your current location, your on-prem location, but also probably from a very distributed source, right? It could be other offices, other locations, other countries, and you need to establish that early on.
No, that's a really important point to leverage security and build it into everything that we do as part of that whole shift left mentality as well, and building it as a quality metric into every business initiative. So Mihir, I guess from your perspective as well, what was the business case on your side in terms of that alignment as well? And how did you also align your cyber strategy to the business strategy in that way?
Sure. So for us, as I was mentioning earlier, with our scale and the footprint that we had, for us in the logistics space, the digital adoption had already a journey was already on. Like the context was predominantly towards consolidation as a context where we at some point in time in past we had 60 plus data centers which or facilities which were servicing in that typical hub and spoke model, servicing different regions, etc. So that for us already went into the journey of consolidation. We brought it down to 6 large footprints, but that coupled with this incident that we faced, what we understood, and I think somewhere Sudeep mentioned in the earlier context also, to have the right set of applications, understanding. So consolidation clubbed with this approach of moving towards cloud. And one very good thing with our management is that how we look at digitization or digitalization is with the view that how much friction can it reduce for servicing our customers. And with that approach, we while we embarked on this path of digital, the context came in that how will we adopt to do things in a more secured way, because security for us is more a enabler function which will help provide the reasonable assurance to the stakeholders with the context of digital trust, if I were to say. So to let the management know that these are the intended outcomes, and with the current examples of such large scale digital businesses operating in a safe and a secured way, is what we had to kind of bridge the understanding, make the necessary presentation, and get the buy-in from the team.
No, that's great. That's great to be able to support your business in that way, and to be able to, I guess, align to that overall strategy of connectiveness and being part of that important supply chain that you are in the logistics space. So we might move on to, I guess, when we think about zero trust, there's many places that you can start. A lot of organizations are still thinking about how do they embark on this particular journey. So I guess, Paul, what sort of advice would you have, and how would you describe, I guess, the way that you approached your roadmap and your sequencing towards a zero trust journey?
Sure. We started with defining a cybersecurity program, right? What is it that we want to achieve as an organization in terms of our cybersecurity, and making sure that we are secure both from internal and external threats. I think we started with that, and from there we were able to sort of put together layers or strategies that will define what are the security layers that we want to put in place. A lot of it, started as policy driven. What do you do in terms of policy with regard to cybersecurity? And then the next step after the policy is really putting together the tools and techniques and the technologies that you need to support those policies. I think a lot of organizations tend to sort of look at the tools first and do the reverse. But we started from really putting together a cybersecurity program, putting policies around that, looking at the tools, and that would support those policies, and we just added in anything that was required as we went along with that, as we went along implementing that cybersecurity program.
Okay, no, that's great that you started with the top-down approach to link it back to, I guess, the business drivers, the business outcomes, and then regulatory frameworks, and then being able to then drive exactly what was the technology solutions that you needed to support that particular journey, which is great. And then I guess, Mahir, on your side, just in terms of that aspect as well, is there any advice that you would have around your roadmap, your journey towards Zero Trust?
Sure. So on the point of Zero Trust as a, it's as you rightly said, it's a journey that we have to be committed to. Now, the starting point of it could be, somewhere, at times it may so happen that you may not even realize then you are slowly moving in that direction. When I spoke about the consolidation approach that we consolidated into the number of reducing our number of data center footprint into 6 from 60, I think the team had already moved on that path. Now somewhere on the journey came the context of information security practices, cyber security practices. And I believe it was Rohit or one of the other panelists who just mentioned, there was a mention about the cybersecurity framework, the NIST framework per se. So, taking that as, reference, be it in terms of how, there was a mention about the secured web gateway, what policy, what URLs, etc., are being used by the people. So those kind of things come into the play. Also, there was a mention about how many URLs, I think Vishwas mentioned about it, that how many URLs are currently available on the internet, and how are we going about transacting the business there. So taking a stock of those stuff, and this I very clearly see aligned with the approach of the identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. So for us, it also meant looking at the application landscape, looking at the infrastructure footprint, looking at how are our endpoints spread across. So for us, the scale, as I said, is close to 10,000 users, but it's very, very spread out in terms of the kind of business that we are into. So looking at that aspect also, and then adopting these approach of cyber exposure, a view from the inside out, a view from the outside in, more from a posture, and then the other aspects of cyber threat intelligence, etc. So it's a combination of these, and of course, when working very closely with the infrastructure team, once you have the application footprint to be aligned with how we want to make it in a secured, make it available in a secured way, we kind of developed our approach. Yeah.
No, that's great that you touched on the whole measurement piece, and we'll dive into that a little bit later in terms of being able to look at it from a maturity perspective. I guess the other important point that you touched on was this concept of Zero Trust being for both IT teams as well as cyber teams. You think about IT teams needing to support the platform that is delivering Zero Trust, and then you think about the cyber teams that are responsible for deploying the policy on top of that particular architecture. I guess, there's always going to be the elephant in the room, and, moving to sort of the culture discussion about, how did you bring both of these teams on that journey? And with the natural tension sometimes between IT and cyber teams, like, how did you better bridge that divide?
You named it, I think, and then I call it as Zero Trust. For me, it would be like eating the elephant. Now it's only going to be one bite at a time. So I think bridging the gap between the two teams. So I think two things are very, very crucial here. A clear understanding about where we need to cooperate, and second being where we need to collaborate. Now, within the information security, cybersecurity function and the infrastructure team, there are clearly marked out areas which only as part of a dialogue, a discussion, can the two teams agree that on certain aspects we need cooperation, and in certain aspects we need collaboration. Those are predominantly linked with the the larger job description, the KRA aspect of it. Just to give a classic example, for me, vulnerability assessment of my infrastructure is a KRA item where I need to represent to the management as to how I'm doing things in a secured way. Now, for that, I need rather a collaboration when I need to make sure that my vulnerability management program is spread across the estate, and I need cooperation when I need to fix the identified vulnerabilities. So that kind of a very and of course there is no a way of doing the thing. This is a context which I have found it very, very useful, a dialogue with the infrastructure lead across servers, network, application space, to have a very open dialogue with them, clearly go to them with a context that we are here not to point fingers, rather we are here to cooperate and collaborate with you, and clearly giving them that certain aspects we can help you, like when it comes to the vulnerability management program example that I was talking about. Third party patch management is something where we can cooperate with them by adoption of right tools, technologies, and then get that buy-in. That's how we take the journey further. There are a few more things to talk about, but with paucity of time, I gave you this one example. Yeah.
No, that's great. And maybe if we pivot to you, Paul, as well, did you have sort of any insights in that space as well to add?
Yeah, I think we definitely have a very good partnership with cyber, right? With our cybersecurity team. I think for us, it's a very easy journey. There's no, I guess there's no disagreement in terms of what do we need to do. For us, security is everyone's job number one, right? Being a bank, you are trusted by your clients. And one of the key ways of doing that is making sure that you are providing and having the most, I guess, as secure as you can make it in terms of not only internal but external systems. So, there is none of that tension, luckily, on our side. I think everyone in our team understands the importance of security, and luckily our CEO is also very supportive of that, and is constantly reminding us of how important security is, not only for our systems but across the whole banking system.
No, that's really important. I think the shared responsibility model and ensuring that everyone has security culture within their organizations, as well as knowing the importance of the value that everyone is doing in that function. I used to always say that a good security in an organization is a well-functioning IT team, because the whole collaboration piece, but also taking responsibility and going above and beyond is a really important call out within those organizations. So I might just finish it up with the last question, which is all about, I guess, outcomes. So we all know that as C-level executives, we need to have tangible outcomes as part of any of our initiative delivery. So, whether that's a hard business benefit such as cost reduction, or a soft benefit such as improving the user experience. I guess, Paul, if we just talk about how did you go about measuring success in this entire zero trust journey? And I guess the question is that did you evolve that over time as you matured your delivery?
Yeah, now that you brought up a very good point. I think the success factor is one of the key things, right? Especially I think for us, there's two facets to this. One is the customer journey. Did zero trust make the way we interface with our customer, the the way that we interface and allow our customers to access our applications? Did it make it simpler and easier for them? And the other facet of that is, did it make our internal journey better? Did it make the user experience for our employees better as part of that zero trust journey, right? And that's one of the reasons why we're always looking at ways to simplify the technology stack, simplify the security stack, so that it makes the experience for both us and the customers a lot better without really having to add, so many layers of security and making it sort of baked into the application and the way the customer interacts with us digitally. And I think that for me is the key, right? That's the way that we can really make sure that security is, people don't see security as a bother, as a tool that really makes it more difficult, but really something that will help the experience or help them experience it in a better way.
No, that's great. It's frictionless and seamless security as part of that whole experience. So Mahir as well, I guess I might hand over to you to talk a little bit about the benefits, how you went about measuring the success in your zero trust journey, and again, did this sort of evolve over time?
Sure. So for us, the benefit, was predominantly towards, agreeing on the right matrix for, of course, cost is a very important, aspect to look at as far as the significant cost reductions, be it in terms of, helping the team understand that the charges that we pay for the MPLS, spread for connecting to each of, our offices, etc. Plus significant cost savings around, the management of perimeter devices at the branch locations. Those were the kind of things that we focused on. And as far as the other aspects of benefits, agreeing on a posture score and a exposure score representation, which can present to the management team how we are able to track, monitor, and report improvement in the score. So when I talk about exposure score, it is linked with the vulnerabilities. So to try and bring that score as much as on a lower side, so that our exposure is less. And when it comes to the posture, it is about presenting to them ways by which we can represent that we were at a posture at this level, now we are at a higher scale. So then those matrices, periodic reporting becomes much more objective and data driven.
No, that's great. I think, simplifying it for the board as well in terms of, either utilizing a maturity score or something that you can show improvement over time, helps you move towards the, I guess, further risk-based metrics later on that you can use to drive and demonstrate, risk takedown from an operational risk perspective for your organization. So I might just also just ask the last question, which is really all about, the fact is that, both of you have gone through this journey of the zero trust model. You've learned a lot through that particular process. Like from a people, process, and technology perspective, if there was a organization that was starting this journey tomorrow, what would be some of the key learnings that you would highlight and be able to share with the audience here?
No, I think for me, one of the key learnings is really you need to take the business with you, take them on this journey, explain to them the reasons why you are embarking on the zero trust journey, and what is it that you are trying to achieve, and what does it mean for them as a business. I think it's very important to have that business backing and that the business understands what you're trying to do. it's not just an IT initiative. It's actually an initiative to secure the enterprise, right, and secure the firm. In addition to that, you also need to make sure that your people are with you, that they understand. Everyone in the company should understand what does it mean. Zero trust doesn't mean that we don't trust people. It actually means that we want to make sure that the people that we are actually using the resources are actually the ones that are the people that are actually using that, right? So key. I think the key to all that is really communication, making sure that people understand what you're trying to achieve, and bringing them with you in that journey.
That's great insight there.
I think taking a cue from the point that Paul mentioned, like cooperation, collaboration that I was talking about, communicate is such an important thing. So be it about the management buy-in to take them on, also agreeing with the stakeholders who are going to be on this journey with you. And for us, it could be the application, guy, the people who are from the infrastructure side on the networks, etc., to have a clearly defined approach such that they are. It's I would say not a buy-in per se, but to take them along the journey, and in that communication really helps, where we make sure that we define what are our important things. And as I was saying earlier, that certain aspects of the zero trust approach would already be people are already on the journey. Maybe they don't realize it. So just to, it's not about not trusting anything, but rather, building an environment which will give out very quantifiable and, results which can lead on to a better, performance. So it's about taking people along in the journey.
No, that's great. That's great to hear that, Mihir. Look, we have a question from the audience for you, Mihir. It is OT part of your current zero trust strategy?
So for us, it is currently a work in progress. For yes, it is because in certain aspects of our supply chain vertical, OT is being looked at, and it is. For us, from a user perspective, from an infrastructure perspective, cloud as a perspective, like that, OT is a perspective. Not as the penetration or the use of OT is not as much like in maybe a manufacturing vertical, but within the supply chain, it is an item of focus, and at the moment it is work in progress for us.
No, that's great. So look, we're calling time now, but look, I wanted to thank you both Mihir and Paul for your time today. I got many great insights from your journey in terms of the way that you've approached zero trust, and I'm sure the audience has as well. So on that note, I'm going to hand over back to Scott to perform the close.
Great, thank you, Heng, and many thanks to Vishwas, Rohit, Paul and Mihir for sharing your real-world stories with us today. We've discussed so many different topics, risk frameworks, the importance of understanding the value that you intend to realize from a zero trust strategy, measuring, quantifying that value throughout the journey, and it being an iterative process. Paul, I think you were sharing the top-down approach of starting with policy, understanding the needs, the identity first, and then trying to manage the right tools and making the right decisions for those for the procurement choices. And then Mihir talking about the collaboration between IT and security and having to work together. So a broad range of topics, and I really wanted to just stress my appreciation because I learn from these sessions a lot. And hearing directly from leaders that have undergone a zero trust project or strategy, and hearing your insights is something that I think just helps the community understand a little bit more about the topic and about how they might want to plan and prepare. Thank you, Heng and Sudeep. Really value your moderation for these sessions. In summary, I guess, during the past hour, we've discussed zero trust and how zero trust protects the way that we all work today, whether it be remotely or on premise, and from any device that we might be in the world. The goal today was really to give you, I guess, a stronger sense of what is required when moving to zero trust, and that from hearing from the panel, you heard directly from peers on some of the actionable steps that you might be able to take back into your businesses and into your day-to-day lives. I'd like to extend my gratitude or Zscaler's gratitude to all of you for attending today. And if you missed any part of it, then that you'd like to revisit, then let us know. We will send out the recording to you, and it will be posted on our website. So there will be follow-up so you have access to this. I very much look forward to continuing this dialogue during our next Zscaler CXO Summit. So from all of us here at Zscaler, thank you all for attending, and thank you again to our panel.